Okay, we're back at the cactus farm, and I need to get this place finished. As you can see, the flooring and storage system looks incredible. How convenient and easy to use the storage system is underneath the farm, however, is a different matter. But now, all the other prep work has run out, and I need to get this place sorted. That is what I'm going to be doing this episode. I'm going to be completing this entire cactus farm, getting all of this stuff, like what we have for this tower, across the entire board. It's going to take so much work, but it's necessary if we want to get it finished. Now over here, we still have our collection of blocks and items I've been collecting through the process of both excavation and just being in the area for a long period of time. And you might be wondering why I haven't gotten rid of it. Well, there are some very useful blocks we actually still need for this build. So it just seems pointless me taking them back now when I'm going to have to use them. We've got chests down here set up already for the main materials of the build, minus the blocks for separating the cactus cells themselves. But this line here is going to be for sand, this line of chests are going to be for fences, and this line of chests are going to be for the cactus needed. That's a lot. As you can see, they're empty at the moment. So let's start on the sand first. Now luckily during excavation I did manage to get a load of sand, so we can transfer a lot of this stuff from the storage up here to the chest down here. Ideally it's going to be enough because I don't want to do another sand collecting session. I'm fed up of having to excavate terrains at the moment. I'd rather just be able to get straight into the build. So if we have the blocks available to do it, that is a massive bonus. Okay, well surprisingly we had more than enough sand and all of these chests were able to get filled. There's 14 large chests if you're wondering. And we still have sand to spare over here, so that must mean we collected a lot more during our excavation process than I initially thought. I mean, it is a very large area we cleared now that I think about it. Yeah, I mean, looking at it now, we actually did a lot more work than maybe I imagined we did. I'm very grateful for that as well. I did not want to go shoveling sand this episode. Next, we're going to do cactus. First, I'm going to remove all of the cactus within these chests that have been building up from our first initial tower we built up, which you can't properly see until I fly up. There they are. Look at all that cactus. With all the water flowing, yummy, yummy, yummy. We're also going to need another 14 large ones for these as well, so that's a lot of cactus. That's why I wanted to get that first tower of cactus put in right at the very start of this farm. Just so when it came to the actual building of the main part of the farm itself, we actually had the cactus available to be able to do so. I remember saying when I first came to this desert that there's no way this desert would have enough cactus for the farm that I was planning to build. I mean, sure, if I grabbed every single bit of cactus, maybe there'd be, what, 2 or 3 large chests, but 14 large chests? I don't think so. Unsurprisingly, I had enough cactus. I've spent longer in this area than I thought I probably would have because I expected to have maybe 6 or 7 large chests by the time it came to the build, but no, we've got the 14 down there, plus all of the cactus still remaining in... well, we've got 2 there, 3, 4, 5. There's and a bit there. And there's probably some tucked around somewhere, so there's... maybe not. We had still like 5... oh, there's some there. So probably 5 or 6 large chests remaining. That's a lot of cactus. Now it's time for the fences. We don't need as many of these. We've got 7 large chests laid out and I can put in the first stack and a half. Well, at least we did a massive wood chopping session last episode. This might just mean, however, that we need to go for another one. We may be in some trouble. This wood choker was full of logs. Now it's empty. And over here, we have 1 large chest and about 1/3 of a large chest. That's so much wood we've used for that amount of fences. I mean, now I'm very thankful for the wood chopping session we did last episode, but this is only 1 large chest's worth of wood, and a stack and a half in this large chest. It doesn't really matter how you look at it, facts are clear. We're not going to have enough wood to craft all the fences we need. And so, surprise to no one, we ran out of wood. We've managed to get over halfway though, so that's at least a positive. 3 2/3 of a large chest full of fences, but that has completely wiped me out of wood. And that was 3 shulkers worth of wood. And the one task I didn't expect to be doing this episode would be tree farming, but I guess I didn't account for the amount of wood needed for the amount of fences we need for the farm. I imagine that now means a few hours worth of log chopping now to get all of the logs we need. Okay, wood chopping session over. We have got ourselves 3 shulker boxes here of wood that we're going to put towards the fences. And then I got a little bit extra. It's not completely full, but I feel like I've done enough. And although it doesn't look like I've touched much of the jungle this session, I have, because all you can see remaining now are the large jungle trees. They are my favourite jungle trees to chop down, so I thought I'd save them for the next time I wanted to do a tree harvesting session. Instead, I got rid of all the tall, thin jungle trees and all the little stumps you find on the floor, which there are still some down there just above my helmet right there. That has made this very time consuming, but as I mentioned last episode, I do find it satisfying to remove the trees of the world. Does that make me a bad person? Probably. However, I'm also the only person in this world, so what are you going to do? Man, it's so much quicker with a nether portal getting here now. Now all I've got to do is use up all of the wood I spent hours collecting to put towards fences I'm going to use up for the cactus farm. And fast forward slightly, and we have all of the chest filled that we needed to, full of fences. This last slot of jungle fences, I've only got 32, but I have got another 32 oak fences. I just couldn't put them together. That's why I've got oak fences within my inventory. Before I do any other work on the farm, I'm instead going to find the middle sections of each of the towers and get rid of those blocks that the water is going to be draining the cactus into. So as you can see all the way down here, I could probably drop all the way down there right to the bottom, and I don't want to. It's so tempting just to do that. Oh, no, I'm not going to do it. Actually, yeah, let's go for it. Ooh, there we go. Man, that's so satisfying. There's a cat in here. Why is there a cat in here? Well, he seems to be loving life. Now all I've got to do is I've got to find the middle section, and I should be able to just drop all the way down. There we go. Look at this. I mean, it is taken. I am... Wow, this is kind of trippy. I took quite a bit of damage. I think it's time I got my diamond chestplate out. I think this is one of the only times I'm going to actually use it. Let's see how much damage I take now. Right, here we go. Nice, not as much. You'd be surprised how long this is taking. I mean, it's such a simple thing to do. Mark out the hole the water is going to drain the items into, and then just do it all the way down. I mean, you saw how quick that first one was. Yet it's taken a lot longer than you'd probably think. That's the thing with large-scale projects. Even the simple tasks take forever to do. Okay, hose in place. Now it's time to get to the meat of the episode, and that is to build the farm up. Now, I wasn't sure what blocks to start with. Should I put in the sand first? Should I put in the chiseled stone? Or just should I put in the fence blocks? What should I put in? And I figured I'm probably actually going to go with the chiseled stone. As you can see from this first layer, all of these cells have another layer of blocks built up. And that's just so the water can be contained within. Obviously, if we don't have these blocks, water's going to spill everywhere and it's not going to drain to that central point. And if I show you on this second layer, and it's also for all of the subsequent layers above me, you can see these are all flat. It doesn't actually have the cells put in place for containing the water. And I wasn't sure if it was going to be easier doing these now, or if it was going to be easier putting in the sand first, and then the cactus and the fences, and then doing this before we do the water, or if we should do this first, and then do the sand and the cactus and all that afterwards. Whatever I start with, it's not going to be a quick job. This is going to be a very long job. I think in reality it doesn't really make that much of a difference. Maybe one's slightly more work than the other, but it's not going to be that much of an inconvenience if I do this first and then put in the sand and all that afterwards. Definitely not got enough chiseled stone bricks for what I'm doing, but we'll cross the bridge of running out when we come to it. I'm on the 5th or 6th layer of the farm right now, and I've completely ran out of chiseled stone bricks. And now the question is, how do I get more? Or better yet, do I even want to get more? If we're to use the stonemasons, it means we're going to have to spend a lot of money just buying this stuff, simply because of the quantity we need. Just getting the outline, we spent, what, like 37 or so shulkers? Maybe it was even more than that. We had to go through a lot of our emeralds, in fact, basically all of our emeralds. But it is an effective method. Another method that I got from one of you guys in the comments is that I should just insta-mine stone blocks down here in the mines with a haste 2 beacon as such. Easy to gather. I mean, we've got, what, almost 2 stacks for, what, a few seconds work. Very easy to do. And then we use the stone cutters in order to make chiseled stone bricks and get like a 1-for-1 trade-off. That is a lot cheaper of a method, but if I'm going to need dozens of shulkers worth of chiseled stone bricks, then both methods are going to take a long time. whether or not we buy the stuff or not. Although this problem goes away if I simply stop caring about using chiseled stone bricks, because when we look at things over here, we have a huge amount of blocks that I could use still for the rest of the build. I mean, I have them. I'm not using them for anything else, right? So why not just put them to use at the cactus farm? Yeah, it's going to look weird, but then a lot of the floors inside the farm are just made up of random blocks, and they seem to work alright. I mean, let's be real, no one's going to be asking me to take this down because of the aesthetics of the place. Or any players like myself are certainly not. Not really a high priority thing. And so while at first I was against using anything other than chiseled stone bricks for the farm, I've come round to newer ways of thinking. This is what happens when you get a lazy person to do a project. I mean, this most recent lair looks like a circus funhouse, but it will still be effective at doing its job, and that's not to have fun, it's to collect cactus. Here we are at the top of my glorious farm. We've got all of the grids put into place. Did it take a long time to do this? Yes, of course it did. There's 30 layers. Of course it took a long time. Even with getting into a rhythm and speed placing the blocks, it took longer than I thought it would. And we have diminished the amount of blocks over here. All of these chests are completely empty. So that's less blocks to take back to the main storage at the trade hall. I think next, it's going to be these guys over here. I'm guessing it's probably going to take the same amount of time, which if you hadn't figured out by what I'm saying, that was a lot of time. All for the sake of cactus. A lot of people in the comments have been saying it's not a particularly good farm for bone meal. I mean, there are much better farms, like for instance moss farms, which I had no idea was even a thing for bone meal. So maybe what we'll do is we'll just devote this farm to green dye instead, and maybe XP from the furnaces. If we get a good smelting setup, that is. Maybe, although I don't know if I could fathom building a moss block farm after building this. Mostly because I think the moss block farm will have to be taken to the limits, like with what we're doing here. For the time being, I mean, this place is big enough that I don't think we're going to want for bone meal, to be fair. Done. It's finally done. One layer has been completed, and it kind of looks like I'm walking through an incubation site for aliens. Look at all these unhatched eggs. As for the rest of the farm, yeah, I still have all of the layers left to go, and it's going to take even longer than the borders of each individual cactus cell. I mean, if we can do a layer in half an hour, that's what, 15 hours worth of sand placing? Whether that's better than expected or less than expected, I don't really know, other than it's still a long amount of time. Especially when you take into consideration it's only for some green dye or bone meal. What a life I have, am I right? It's been several hours and we're still working on placing the sand, but I just wanted to do a quick little check-in because we've hit 2,000 days. 2,000 days in our world, and this is episode 11. That's kind of crazy. I'm sure half of that is just here at the cactus farm. Behold, the magnificence of my farm. A farm that needs 99% of the cactus still put it in. But look at it, it actually looks impressive. There is thousands of these blocks now placed. All around the farm, look at them all. Like little eggs in an incubator. And it's now day 2006. We still had this much sand remaining from all of our 14 large chests. Which is reassuring because it means we didn't miscalculate when it came to the cactus either, because I have exactly the same number of chests of cactus that I did for the sand. Talking of which, I wonder how many of these chests has filled up in our a tower of already placed cactus. 1 chest, 2 chests, 3 chests, 4 chests, 5 chests. I may need to empty that. Now, in terms of the next stage of the farm building process, it's between either putting in the fences next, or the cactus into the now placed sand blocks. And I have a feeling it's going to be better for us if we put in the fence blocks next. I also have another feeling that it's going to take a lot of time to put these in. Potentially longer than it took to put the sand blocks in. And that took a long time. Alright, that's the first layer of fences put in, and it was fairly time consuming because I had to get the right position to place each of the fence blocks. After a while, all the blocks of the floor above start to blend together, so sometimes you end up placing fence blocks in the wrong place, but it took us about 20 minutes, maybe slightly more, and we've got another 29 layers to go. We're on the final layer of the cactus farm for placing fences. This layer has to be slightly different than the others because I've got to put in these temporary placeholder blocks first before I can put the actual fences in. Because every other layer I've put the fences into, I've just put on the underside of the layer above it, so I didn't have to put these temporary placeholder blocks in place and then the fences off of those blocks. I could just attach them to the underside of the layer above like I've just said. However, because this top layer has no other layer above it, that means we can't put fence blocks onto the underside of another layer because it doesn't exist. With the fences in place, all I've got to do now is just remove these blocks, and I don't even need to collect them, but my inner collector is just screaming at me to pick them up because you never know when you might need them. Who knows when I'll be building another giant cactus farm? Hopefully never, if I'm being completely honest. I don't want to have to go anywhere near the construction of another cactus farm for some time after I've built this one. Although why would I if I've made this one? I'm never going to want the cactus again. And now finally we're on to the penultimate activity of the cactus farm, the last thing we do before we put in the water, and that is the cactus itself. Because what's a cactus farm without cactus? Nothing. That's what, absolutely nothing. And it's so satisfying being able to finally do this. I've waited a long time to be able to start placing the cactus. There's been so much setup that's gone into this, so much time that's been spent on this build. Finally now we're putting in one of the final pieces of the puzzle, and I will probably end up spending most of the day doing it because while I can do this top layer in, I don't know how long it's take, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, I've then got to do another 29, so you can sort of see how long this farm has taken, or is going to take just for the cactus. And then once I've got boatloads of green dye, I'm going to have to put that to use. Use for what? I have no idea, but I'm going to find something to make this farm's size viable. Alright, that's one layer done. It's like a giant garden centre with the miniature cactus. Now I've just got another 29 to go. Okay, so it's actually the next day now, IRL, and I can finally say that all of the cactus has now been placed. Finally, we are producing thousands upon thousands of cacti. You can see them all. This took a very long time to do. The unfortunate thing is we're not actually collecting any of the cacti that breaks. As you can see, look, there's cacti just sort of dotted around the place. Here's another one, and that's because we have no water system put into place. Each one of these cells are supposed to be filled with water, just like this cell is, because when one of these cacti breaks, inevitably it then falls into the water. The water is just pushed, like I'm being pushed, around the cactus, although it will be going at a much quicker speed, and then it heads all the way down there to the bottom where there is a hopper. And there's, look, here they go. Woohoo! Oh, I just collected them, but if I was to put them, throw them out like that, they head down there, all the way down there, and they get picked up at the bottom in our collection system down here. And we have the collection system set up for all of the other towers. Of course, like 0.001% of the cactus being produced are actually finding their way down into here. And the ones that do find their way down here is just by luck that they've managed to drop off the cactus and fall down the holes to just the right angle that they are actually managing to get into the collection system at the bottom. Like some of them are completely empty. So we're missing out on thousands and thousands of cacti. And that leaves one last thing to do for the cactus farm before I can say it's complete. That is to find the iron buckets we had before that are not in there. Okay, we have 6 in here and 2 more there. We're going to need a lot more than that. There we go, there's a couple of stacks. I can definitely foresee this taking a long amount of time to get all of the cacti cells filled with water. Shit. It's just emptied out. I'll put those water buckets into there, pick that up, refill fill the others, and then head to work putting in all of the water buckets, creating a draining system. I've also brought with me a few fence blocks just in case I need it for situations like this when I've accidentally missed a fence block or two. We put this in, there we go. They're put like that and they will be collected. However, I've started here at the top. I don't think that's a good idea. I think really I should be starting here at the bottom, because if I start at the top, any cactus that is swept into the middle hole to be collected in the storage system down below is only really going to get taken down to the layer below it, or maybe a few layers down. It's very unlikely to reach all the way down to our storage system here at the bottom. So if I start at the lowest layer, all the cacti produced and broken will go into the water system and will be collected, and we can just head our way up. And obviously the higher up we get, the more cacti that will be collected. I can tell already this is going to take a long time, maybe even longer than the other parts of the farm, but they took a long time. Alright, here it is, the final cell of the entire farm. I filled up every cell with water, and this is the final remaining one. At the top of the farm, the very centre, 1 bucket, 2 bucket, 3 bucket. It is basically like cutting the ribbon, this bit is. 4 bucket. And we have it. We have a complete cactus farm. A complete cactus farm shrouded by clouds. You can't see it properly. But there we have it. We have completed our masterpiece. 3,000 cells of cactus. 16 cactus in each one. We have done something that the critics said we could never do. We've done something that people said was impossible. Something that they said went against the laws of physics. But we've done it. And with a storage system many of you are happy with. A storage system many of you have complimented on its design and efficiency and its ability to pick up drops. I crowned this farm complete. Look at it. It has taken so long to get to this point. Wow, we're still going up. And we will probably never need this amount of cactus. But I will be putting the green dye to use. I think what I'm going to be doing is putting a lot of a lot of glass roads around the world. A lot of glass structures around the world. And if we look at these, just from placing the water, I've got a large build-up of cactus. I mean, there's more than 100 towers, and these chests, we'll say it's about half of a large chest each time. So we've got like 50 chests worth of cactus. That's crazy already. And I know just by AFKing for a few more hours, we're going to have a couple of hundred or so large chests of green dye. The green dye of cactus. But we're not quite finished, because if we take a look up here, you'll be able to see that we still have all of these chests, and we have all of these chests full of blocks, or what used to be full of blocks before we took a load of cactus and sand and other blocks out. But we still have, yeah, look at all of these. So all of this needs to be transported back to the trade hall, where our main storage is. And fortunately for us, we have a lot of shulkers that we can put blocks into, because there is no way I'm going to be taking just one inventory worth of blocks and resources and items back to the trade hall one at a time. We're going to be here all day. I always think when people do this, they look so professional moving bits of storage. But I hope I'm coming across as really professional right now. I mean, look at this. Yeah, look how professional I am. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm talking about. Well, that's the first trip done, and I can't tell you how much joy it fills me with to refill a lot of these empty chests with items and resources. It makes me feel so happy. I've still got 15 stone blocks. There we go. And I need to pick up 11 more. Yeah, it's like a little craving I have that items all need to be in the same place. Although I really do need to get on and organise it and actually make a storage system that is organised and easy for us to access blocks. Okay, we are back. We've cleared that monstrosity of a mess of a storage system that wasn't a storage system. It was just a place where we collected all those blocks. And now finally, we have finished the cactus farm. Now, obviously there are still going to be bits and pieces I work on in the area, but for the time being, I am very glad we finished this so we can move on to other projects, because there's an entire world still out here that needs to be filled with a lot of ideas that I have inside my head, or now written down on a project cube from episode 6 or 7. I can't remember which one. Who knows? Maybe I will take some of the criticisms that you guys have said about the storage system and actually improve it, and have one large collection set up where all of the cactus are funneled into, rather than the separate 100 collection systems that we have to go from chest to chest. Who knows? Maybe. Probably. Well, we will, actually. I can already foresee it in my mind's eye. We've also got a super smelter set up and everything for all of the cactus. But yeah, it's been a project. It's been an ordeal, and I'm glad we can finally say it's done. It's not been an easy thing to do. So yeah, that's going to be it for me. Alright, bye. Now wait for it, watch this. Ready? There we go. Diamonds. 5 little bastards. That is exactly what we want to see, or more, and we can go to the surface. But this cave network is a distraction from the main goal of heading back down to the deepest point of the earth, and then tunneling through that deep part of the earth for where we're probably going to find the majority of the diamonds. Okay, this is gold in our path. There's no way I'm deviating from this straight line, so this will be the first gold we've picked up as well.